Did you vote for Trump?
Yes, I did.
Do you still support him to this very day?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay.
I think he's better than the alternative. Obviously, do I think he's like a perfect candidate? No, but I think he's better than Harris. So, yeah.
Would you say that he is a corrupt individual?
When you mean corrupt, you mean, works on behalf of lobbyists or like
No.
what's
That's
corrupt?
I take corrupt to me in the way that I'm using the word corrupt. I wouldn't necessarily, like, going down the route that you're thinking, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. But I take corrupt in this instance to mean using official powers granted to you by your position for your own personal gain.
Personal gain?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay.
So,
Explain Trumpcoin.
I don't know what Trumpcoin is.
Okay. Explain using executive orders to
Well,
target law firms that have wronged you.
I consider those law firms a witch hunt. I think that they were going after him for political reasons.
That's great. The hilarious part is it wouldn't even matter. That's completely non-responsive. Why would you use the official powers of the president to financially harm law firms because they went after you in cases you don't agree with?
No, they went after him for political reasons. They work with the DNC. Of course, you can go after them.
Is the DNC not allowed to hire lawyers?
The DNC shouldn't be doing political witch hunts. No, the DNC shouldn't go after political opponents.
Give me one of the cases that you're thinking of when you're talking right now.
All the 38 felonies. Those are financial felonies. So
Okay.
you're not going to say that there's not almost every corporation doing bypasses like Trump did. We should go after everyone then. Like, that's just ridiculous.
The New York case that you're talking about that was state charges initiated by New York state prosecutors. So that's not law firms. There was no, like, they didn't hire an outside law firm. Maybe they poached a couple people from law firms to come in and work for the DA's office. Mark Pomerantz is a good example of a person like that. But those aren't law firms that the DNC hired to do anything. So try again.
Who appointed those judges?
Appointed those judges?
Do state judges have to be appointed, or do they just show up there? Like, who appointed the judges?
For state courts, I would assume the governor appoints them. Actually, don't even know if we're talking about like.
I think it is the governor. New York probably do. But
Why
overall,
would the governor appointing who appointed the judge in the, say, New York the felony case that he had in New York? Like, who gives a fuck? That's entirely non-responsive to me asking you why you think it's okay for him to use executive power to attempt to bankrupt and extort. I haven't even hit the extortion point yet. Law firms that have done some sort of perceived wrong against him. Is that not exactly what my definition of corruption is?
I would say corruption is taking personal money, and I think the way our system right now is corrupt. I don't think that there should be lobbies. I don't think that there should be political donations.
Okay, that's not what I'm going to keep you on track here. That's not what I'm talking about. Donald Trump. You might not like lobbying. You might not like campaign finance laws, but that's the system we live in right now. I'm talking about Trump doing stuff that is unprecedented, stuff that presidents just don't fucking do, should not be doing at all whatsoever. I wish you knew anything about fucking Trumpcoin. That's the best. There isn't a better example out there. Why in the fuck would the president of the United States ever have a fucking meme coin that they own, that anybody on the planet, fucking Putin, Kim Jong-un, Xi Jinping, could donate money directly into his fucking pocket? That's insane.
Well, multiple presidents have had coins.
Okay, name one.
Malay had a coin in Argentina.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about American presidents because we're Americans, right? Are you an American?
You just brought up Putin and you just brought up some other...
No, I'm saying that those people could donate money to Trump through his coin and no one would know.
Well, crypto's the future. I don't think it's going to be on presidents in a few years.
I don't give a fuck if that's great. Crypto can be the future. Cool, that's great. That's fine. The president of the United States shouldn't have a personal coin that he has ownership of, like that is in his own name, that if you buy, he gets the money.
It wasn't directly run by him. I don't think it was directly run by Donald Trump. I mean,
he owns the majority. It was created by his team. He owns the majority stake. The transaction fees go to him.
was two entities affiliated with him. It wasn't him directly. It's not
Okay,
like
so if I say I'm a trillionaire, right? Say I'm the world's first trillionaire, and I put $100 billion into Trump coin, and the price skyrockets. Does Donald Trump directly profit from that?
I would. How much shares does Donald Trump have? Uh,
An assload.
he has a shit ton. Yeah, he would profit from it.
Okay, why is that okay? Why is it okay for the president of the United States to have they have the controlling stake in something where I could come along? So let's say like I was a business owner and I was like, "Hey, Donald, I really, really need that permit, buddy. I really need that fucking permit, or I really need you to approve my merger with this other company." And he says, "Okay, buy some Trump coin."
How's that not different from what we have today? Political opponents constantly ask donors for money to run campaigns or to run ads. That's no different than what we have today.
That's great. I asked you why it's okay. I didn't ask you
I don't
if
think
I
it's
didn't ask you if
okay.
other people do better stuff.
I don't think it's okay, but just think it's the system we live in now. Every president does that. That doesn't seem that much different. Your example doesn't seem that much different to me for Harris saying that she needs political donations. Harris went to Meta. Harris went to multiple corporations. That she said, "I need more funding for ads. I need more, more grassroots campaigns or
Yeah.
whatever."
Yeah. You know what
She
that's
did the
called?
same thing.
You know what that's called?
Political donations.
Yeah, and you know what has to happen with those?
What?
They get reported. Do you know what?
No.
Do you know what?
No.
Do you know what happens when? Do you know what happens when the Russian government? You know what happens when the Russian government throws $100 billion into Trump coin? Nobody fucking knows.
Not all political donations are reported. There's definitely undercover, under the table.
Okay, perfect. I'm on board with you. I actually agree that almost certainly happens. People probably make political donations and don't report it. Is that a crime when they do that though? If I make a big donation to a political campaign and I don't report it on my taxes and I don't report it anywhere, like that's a crime, correct?
Yeah, I would say that.
Okay. When fucking Putin puts $100 billion into Trump coin, is and doesn't report it? Obviously, why the fuck would he make it public that he did that, right? Nobody can fucking do anything about that. It's under the cover. It's in the shadows. That's the problem.
And I already told you I would disagree with Trump, but this isn't the straw that broke the camel's back.
Okay, it might not be. It might not be the thing where you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to support you anymore over this. Would you say it's corrupt for him to have one? Do you think he should not have that coin?
Yeah, I would disagree with the coin. I don't think that the president should have crypto coins.
Okay, lovely. Do you think he should be using official executive power to punish people that have wronged him in the past?
I do think those law firms were corrupt, and I think that
I didn't ask you if you thought they were corrupt. You might think they're corrupt, although if your justification for why they're corrupt is because the DNC hired them to do stuff, then you just wholeheartedly are missing what the fuck law firms are supposed to do. But that's fine. You don't need to know what law firms are supposed to be doing.
I know. But still, maybe those private law firms, they shouldn't be in crosshairs. You could say, but that's still not a reason that would break the camel's back. That's still not like amazing.
So do you think do you think it's corrupt? Would you accept my labeling it as of corrupt to use for the president to use executive authority to punish people that he doesn't like, law firms he doesn't like, people that have done taken cases he doesn't agree with, or stuff like that?
To some extent, yeah. I don't think it's like blatant corruption, but you could form a definition for legal corruption, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, and now what if that very same president that used those very same executive orders to target those very same law firms said, okay, hey, look, I know that this is really hurting your business. These executive orders that I put in place, they're really fucking you, right? You lost a lot of clients. All you got to do is agree to give me millions of dollars in free legal services, and I'll get rid of the executive order so you can get back to business. Would you call that corrupt?
Does that go to federal money, or does that go from the money that he was using?
The terminology used was to cases that I deem important. So you take that to mean what you will.
What executive order are you talking about?
The same executive orders, the ones targeting law firms.
What are they called?
They're all going to be called addressing risks from, and then the name of the law firm. So there's addressing risks from Paul Weiss, addressing risks from Perkins Coie, addressing risks from Jenner and Block, Wilmer Hale, Sussman Godfrey. so on and so on. It's addressing risks from, and then the name of the law firm. And then probably what you're gonna want because you specifically asked when I mentioned the free legal services, they're for the law firms that did capitulate, that did decide, all right, fuck it, we're going to take a deal with this guy to get these executive orders gone. Those were all named addressing remedial action from, and then the name of the law firm. So you're going to have addressing remedial action by Paul Weiss, and then I don't know I can't remember off the top of my head which other ones capitulated, but you're going to have some of those. And then the terminology you're going to want to look for is this comes straight from addressing remedial action by Paul Weiss. So when they bent the knee to Trump, you're going to have, let me find the first line of this sentence. And it has agreed, here we go. And it has agreed to a number of policy changes to promote equality, justice, and the principles that keep our nation strong, including adopting a policy of political neutrality with respect to client selection and attorney hiring, taking on a wide range of pro bono matters, representing the full political spectrum, committing to merit-based hiring, promotion, and retention instead of diversity, equity, inclusion policies, dedicating the equivalent of $40 million in pro bono legal services during my term in office to support causes including assisting our nation's veterans, fairness in the justice system, and combating anti-Semitism and other similar initiatives. Other similar initiatives is carrying a lot of fucking water. Isn't that crazy though? I specifically highlighted the portion that I think is fucking insane here. $40 million in pro bono during my term. Okay, once I'm gone, you guys are free. You can do whatever you want. I don't give a fuck. Fuck you. Fuck everyone. Don't care. But during my term, you motherfuckers are gonna work for free. Okay, and you're gonna do what I want.
First of all, there was a multitude of reasons why DEI or anti-Semitism wasn't just his personal gain. Now that I'm reading the bill, and overall,
hey, real quick, is anti-Semitism legal in this country? Am I allowed to be anti-Semitic? 100%. That should be an instant yes. The fact that you're even umming me right now is unhinged. Okay, read the First Amendment. I can be as anti-Semitic as I want to be. I can't think of any fucking anti-Semitic slurs right now, but I can drop the hardest one in the universe if I wanted to. Right the fuck now. Now TikTok's gonna ban my ass, but I can do it. There's no law that says I can't. Okay, so if Trump's bullshit justification is all anti-Semitic, don't care. You can be anti-Semitic.
There's constant laws, housing laws, entry laws. There's multiple laws that don't allow you to be racist or anti-Semitic or etc.
Do you think that's what I'm talking about? Like discriminating how would a law firm discriminate in like what, client selection? They have absolute discretion in client selection. They could literally, I'm pretty sure. Now you could probably sue them for this. My guess would be you could sue them, but you could go to a law firm and be like, hey, I want to hire you for this case, and they could be like, sorry, we don't represent black people. Now, you could probably sue them if they did that. That's unhinged. You're going to violate some sort of equal protections clause by doing that. But that's not really what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is if they, let's say that, I'm going to take Trump at his word. I'm going to do something crazy right now. I'm going to take him at his word. I'm going to assume he's telling the absolute truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Let's say they were being anti-Semitic as fuck. And that's why he was like, I got to deal with these guys. Is it the job of the president to go after a law firm financially, to hurt their business, to try to make them make less money because they have some sort of internal anti-Semitic shit going on?
I would say that the president in the past has gotten involved when it comes to discrimination.
I would say that's the job. I would say that's the job of the civil division of the Department of Justice. So why the fuck was this not Pam Bondi suing them? Why is this Donald Trump using an executive order to hurt them on the business end? What the fuck?
The president has gotten involved when it comes to discrimination in the past. Lyndon B. Johnson, for example. To say that the president hasn't gotten in these matters is not true. And overall, I think when it comes to this is such a minute issue to me. Do you think that if Biden called up Facebook, like Mark Zuckerberg said, and said that, oh, you cannot publish this laptop story during an election, would you consider that corruption? I mean, then we can go back to every president.
Did Biden? Okay, for one, we're not gonna actually pivot, but I will answer this particular question because this is another matter of not understanding. Do you think Biden called Mark Zuckerberg? Is that how you think that happened?
That's what Mark Zuckerberg claimed. So
that's not what he claimed, actually. He didn't say Biden called him.
The administration called him.
Okay, who could that be?
I don't know. It could be multitude.
Yeah, it could be fucking literally anybody. So doing this like Biden called up Zuckerberg. No, the fuck he didn't. And Trump shouldn't be doing this shit either. Why the fuck is the president doing any of this shit? You have a Department of Justice. The Department of Justice has a civil division. If you truly believe, if you're not, now this is why I said I'm going to give him full credit, or not full credit, but I'm going to believe him when he says this, because I think he's lying very heavily when he says it's because they're anti-Semitic. I think he's bullshitting. But besides that, even if he had found out that there was something where maybe they were being anti-Semitic and that like maybe they were refusing to take on Jewish clients. Let's say I'll pull that out of my ass. Let's say they were refusing to take on Jewish clients. That's probably illegal, right? We probably are having some equal protections problems in there, right? You have a civil division of the Department of Justice. That's their fucking deal. Let them handle it. Why the fuck is the president doing this shit? Because I'll tell you, he's fucking lying. That's not the reason he did this shit. He did it because they had taken on a case in the past that he didn't like because it was against him, and he was pissed.
So I have a question for you. Pam Bondi sued this law firm. Would you consider that corruption? So
if Pam Bondi sued them for like what we're talking, like for anti-Semitic practices?
Yeah, whatever.
No, that is what the fucking department. That's exactly the kind of thing that the civil division of the DOJ should be doing. That's what they should be doing. So no, I'd be like, all right, have fun in your court case. Good luck.
So it's only bad if Trump does an executive order. Yes. So if he just asked Pam Bondi to do it,
this is first order thinking. The reason it's bad isn't because it's the wrong person. It's because the justification is made the fuck up. If the civil division of the DOJ had sued them for like equal protections violations, right? Because they were being anti-Semitic, let's say. If that happened, I would say they're probably filing that lawsuit because they genuinely believe there's like equal protections violations here, and they're trying to get justice, right? If Trump does this sweeping executive order to hurt their firm, and he says it's because anti-Semitism, why the fuck would I ever believe that? There's mechanisms in place. There's a mechanism in place to deal with that exact thing, and it certainly isn't you going after their whole firm. And then, here's the biggest reason why you shouldn't believe that. If that was the case, and he did that to, say, one firm, Paul Weiss, let's say. He did it to Paul Weiss, and then that was the end of it. I would say, okay, maybe that really is the real reason he's just being a little goofy. Sure. But then, he goes on to do the exact same executive orders with very similar phrasing inside the executive orders to like 8 other law firms that had taken on cases that were against him in the past. Now, it's starting to look to me like this is vengeance.
But I would say that you could say, executive orders are more, prominent or more powerful than the DOJ at some point. So you could say that Trump really...
I would say they're absolutely not, because out of all the law firms that chose to not capitulate, now there were some that said, okay, fine, we'll just give you the pro bono services and we'll fuck off and just drop your order. That happened. Like Paul Weiss is a good example. They bent the knee. But out of every other firm that he targeted that decided not to bend the knee, all of those executive orders were overturned in the courts because they were very unconstitutional, every single one of them. So I would say no, the DOJ could have gotten much more success because they could have filed a real lawsuit that would have had like a real result. Now, assuming that the firm was actually doing these things that he was complaining about, there could have been real results. But now, what really happened, right? He did these executive orders because he was pissed at these firms and he wanted to hurt them. So he does them. They all countersue, or not countersue, but they all sue the federal government, and they all win their lawsuits. And now Nothing gained by the administration, right? So no, you're absolutely wrong that no, executive orders are not more effective. A lawsuit would have been 100 times more effective. But that's only if they really were doing the things that he said they were doing. The problem is they weren't. He's lying.
But again, this is just such a minute issue to me. I'm not really educated.
Okay. So why'd you come up here? I said literally my prompt is about corruption. I'm telling you all the ways in which he's corrupt, and your response after I finally fucking dig into you harder and harder and harder and finally get you to be like, okay, fine, that might be corrupt, but I don't care. So if you don't care, then why the fuck do you even come up here to begin with?
Because every president's corrupt. Why is Trump different? Again, you think that Biden's administration calling Facebook to not put that information about the laptop, you don't think that's corruption?
I think, no, not at all. And I'll tell you why. For one, no, I don't think it's corruption at all. B, every single administration does shit like that. Every single fucking one. Because, and you might say, like, well, just because every administration does it doesn't make it non-corrupt. I would actually totally agree with you on that. There could be a case where every administration is doing the same corrupt bullshit over and over and over, and that probably happens a lot. The reason that's not corrupt is because that's exactly the fucking type of thing that you think that you would want the FBI to doing, that you would want the FBI to be doing. The problem is, it's not that they did it, because if it was really the case that Russia was trying really, really hard to push some sort of like fake information to American journalists to get them to report on it to manipulate the public. If that was really happening and the FBI had found out, you would want them to alert people ahead of time, like, hey, just so you know, Russia's trying to pull this off. The only reason it's as bad as it was and keeps getting brought up is because they were fucking wrong. If they were right, it would have been you'd been like, that's fine. That's what the FBI should be doing. They found out that Russia was trying to pull some shit. They warned people ahead of time, and the people could take action. And the people being Facebook, Twitter, whoever the fuck, right? The problem is they were wrong. That happens. It happens. Sometimes you're fucking wrong. Okay.
You don't think that there was any corruption when it comes to Hunter Biden?
There's plenty.
So, but Hunter Biden used his father to help him with his corruption.
There's no evidence of that. He used his name. He used his dad's name for sure.
You don't think that Joe Biden didn't help him at all?
Provide some evidence that he did.
He overthrew the Ukrainian government, and then he pressured some of the boards and the prosecutors in Ukraine to help his son go to one of the boards in Ukraine, be part of this energy company or something.
He didn't. There's absolutely zero evidence that Joe Biden pressured the board of Burisma to let Hunter Biden on board. If you know how boards of directors at companies work, like this, the Hunter thing shouldn't surprise you at all. A lot of members on companies' boards, they're not made up of experts in the field. Like if you look at any major company, if you look at their board of directors, it's not going to be a whole lot of experts in that particular field. A lot of it is going to be people that have pull, people with connections, people that are famous, or maybe they have powerful people around them. That's really common. That's a thing that happens all the time. And so with that knowledge in mind, it shouldn't surprise you in any way, shape, or form that at the time that Hunter was hired over there, that he was hired because his dad was the vice president. Of course, 100%, of course. But that's a Hunter problem. Why are you if you want to assign some moral culpability and say like, hey, it's wrong for you to do this, the problem is the son using the name of his successful father to gain, for personal gain. So the definition that I gave you, right, like using official power for personal gain. If you want to say like that's a corrupt action by a Hunter because he's using his dad's success to benefit himself when he doesn't deserve it, I would agree. It's true, yeah, but that's common and says nothing of the president himself, or vice president at the time.
I just think I'll let the next guest go up. I need to educate myself more on these lawsuit actions or whatever. When it comes to Biden, I do think that, I think the Hunter laptop story is true. That's just my opinion. So I think that I would consider that corruption, but I'm not sure. So.
Okay.